Hello, I'm Graham Elwood, and welcome to another episode of the Political Vigilante. I know we were calling it the Church of Winged Male type guy, but we can't call it that for trademark reasons. And this is an artist rendition of a type of guy like that, whose name I can't use. So now we're calling it Political Vigilante. So I want to talk about a January 17th article on the Intercept.com written by Glenn Greenwald, talking about Jeremy Corbyn, the Labour Party in the United Kingdom, calls for de-escalation of NATO on the Russian border and is called a collaborator with Kremlin. And this is a thing that Glenn Greenwald has been kind of talks about a lot. I'm just starting getting turned on to Glenn Greenwald. And he has some interesting stuff. And when I've talked about on this show, we got to follow the money. The whole Russia-Trump thing is really perplexing to me, and I'm trying to figure it out. And this sheds some light on it. Basically, what this article is talking about, and Glenn Greenwald talks about this in other articles, as you know, Noam Chomsky has talked about this, is why is Russia and Putin, why is this the new boogeyman? And I'm not, look, Putin, has and is doing some pretty awful civil rights abuses. Like, apparently if you're gay in Russia, I mean, you can, like, the government can just arrest you and beat the shit out of you, and it's pretty awful. I mean, and what Putin has done in Syria and the Ukraine, this isn't like, saying that's not that big of a deal. But it's also, this article is going into why are the two biggest nuclear powers, why are we going back into a Cold War? I mean, Trump talked about that. He tweeted about that. Maybe we need to escalate. We got to make sure our nukes are up to speed. He sent some tweet like last month. Why would he do that? Well, my guess, as is the guess if you follow the money, it's the military. That's arms deal. We need to escalate this war with Russia again. We need to have a big bad guy again, because we've kind of got ISIS under control. We defeated Saddam. So who's the next bad guy? Who do we? Putin's on the loose again. So but it's also that, like, if you poke someone, and then of course they're going to react. So we'll go into the article right now. So the leader of the UK's Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn, called for a de-escalation of tensions between NATO and Russia, adding in a BBC interview on Thursday, "I want to see a demilitarization on the border between them. Along with the US, the UK has been rapidly building up its military presence in the Baltic region, including in states that border Russia, and is now about to send another 800 troops to Estonia, 500 which will be permanently based. In response, Russia has moved its own troops within its country near those borders, causing serious military tensions to rise among multiple nuclear-armed powers." Oh, man. And throughout 2016, both Russia and U.S. militaries have, doing all this aggression back and forth with each other. And again, I don't want to, because I hear some people who just the mainstream media is like, oh, Russia, they hacked, oh my God. And look, if I've talked about it on the show, if they did hack the emails to give Trump an advantage, there's not a lot of, there's some evidence, there's just sort of, there isn't compelling evidence. There isn't just this here's the evidence. If they did, we need to have that fully investigated. We need to know. But it also doesn't take away what the emails said. The emails were corrupt, and they said, if Russia hacked my emails, it would just be a bunch of inappropriate dick jokes with me and my buddies and talking about podcasting. That word would probably bore the hackers to death. There would be anything. There's no crazy thing in there. So, but then I don't want to overreact, Russia's evil, and let that overreaction then swing too far in the other direction. I'm going, Putin's not that big of a problem. Can't oversimplify. Cannot oversimplify. We can't say either or. if this side is reacting this way and I don't like that side and they've proven to be crazy or wrong, then we just disregard everything. There might be some truth in that. What they're doing with that truth, how they're reacting to it, how they're trying to manipulate it and use it to their advantage, that's another thing. But if the truth is the truth. So, but here's some truth that are a little scary. This week, the U.S. began deploying 4,000 troops to Poland, the biggest deployment of U.S. troops in Europe since the end of the Cold War. This is happening now under Obama's watch. Look, we're all getting a little, oh man, Obama was so classy and smart, and now we're going to have this reality TV guy that uses face tanner. Yeah, I get all that, but let's not forget that under Obama's 8 years, he has done more illegal wars, just drone striked people without Congress's approval or anything like that. We have become a surveillance state. So this buildup is happening while Obama is technically still president. So we have to look at all of that. It was in this context that Corbyn said it is unfortunate that troops have gone up to the border on both sides, adding that he wanted to see better relations between Russia, NATO, and the EU. The Labour leader explained that while Russia has engaged in serious human rights abuses domestically and in Syria, there must be better relationships between both sides. There cannot be a return to the Cold War mentality. Yeah, this is a dangerous thing. I don't know. I think had Hillary won, she would have gone right to building this up. I think Trump might eventually build this up. You know, you got to be careful because Trump is such an outsider that I don't think the power of the right, the Republican power, the corporate power, the military-industrial complex, I think they are like using him. They really control things to a certain extent, but if he gets in the way of that, then you'll see him get impeached. That they'll do that. What it was dangerous though, what is telling is the response to Corbyn's call for like, hey, let's de-escalate, right? For better relations and de-escalation of tensions with Moscow the response was swift and predictable, according to Glenn Greenwald here. The Armed Forces Minister for Britain's right-wing government, Mike Penning, accused Corbyn of being a collaborator with the Kremlin. He said these comments suggest that the Labour leader would rather collaborate with Russian aggression than mutually support Britain's NATO allies. This is dangerous. This is the thing, and this bothers me, and he goes into it in this article. It's like saying we got to be careful because this is the thing. Like, do we understand that all-out nuclear war with Russia would mean the end of life on Earth? That's why everyone should be calm and just saying it's like the build up to the war in Iraq. People saying, you know, during that time post 9/11, oh, you know, I don't know that we should invade Iraq. Oh, what do you hate America? You're a Saddam sympathizer. No, I'm not a sympathizer with Saddam. He had mass graves. He was an evil dude. But he was also in bed with the CIA. We backed him when we were fighting with Iran in the 80s. Like, easy. Just saying I don't want war doesn't mean that I hate America or that I'm sympathizing with an obvious, like, aggressive or evil entity. And that's, like, it's so dangerous. And what is happening and what he goes into this article, he talks about, you know, the dangers here. Both countries have massive nuclear arsenals. And he says here, during the Obama presidency, we have only deepened our dangerous embrace of nuclear weapons. At the moment, around 1,000 nuclear weapons are still on a hair-trigger alert as they were during the Cold War. They're ready to be launched in minutes in response to a warning of imminent attack. So he goes on to say it's not hyperbole to say that perhaps nothing is more reckless, more dangerous than ratcheting up tensions between these two countries, which is why it's so awful that Corbyn says this, and the opposing party in the UK says, "Oh, he's a collaborator," and we're hearing that here. We're hearing that out of the corporate media here, and it is it's dangerous. You know, it's like here's the thing. So, the Democrats have been alarmed, rightfully so, by Trump's belligerence of his top aides toward nuclear-armed China. He took that call from Taiwan. He said, I don't know about a one-China policy, suggesting the U.S. might intervene militarily with those islands that China has just built up there in I believe, the South China Sea. So, if anyone, what if we use that? What if anybody questioning Trump's kind of being reckless since getting elected? He's not even the president yet. Anybody question is like, oh, you're anti-American. You must be a Chinese sympathizer or a Russian sympathizer. That's crazy, So everyone needs to have level heads here, and we need to question everything. It's another reason why I say, like, if you're not an independent, you should be. This is why you should be an independent. Another reason why you should be an independent. And I'm going to read this last thing from Glenn Greenwald's article. At the very least, one should be free to debate these policies without being smeared as a traitor. That applies to China, and it applies to Russia. And I would add, and it applies anywhere. Syria, anywhere. It applies. We should be able to debate these things freely without being called, a traitor, an anti-American. And those who voice such concerns should not, as Corbyn just was, have their loyalties and integrity be impunged by our new Cold Warriors. And then he lists context on the NATO-Russia tension that is rarely heard in the Western press. He recommends these two items. A Foreign Affairs article by University of Chicago political scientist John J. Mearsheimer on the West's relentless aggressive march eastward up the Russian borders and its consequences. And there's a recent article with Noam Chomsky by German journalist Thilo Jung. I would also suggest watch The Untold History of America by Oliver Stone, which I believe is on Netflix, especially the post, what got us into the Cold War, how Truman became the vice president, and how he ramped up. Go back to that. Watch The Untold History of America and watch the World War II and then leading into the Cold War, how we got there and why treating Russia this way. And again, anyone who then overreacts, oh, so we should just let Russia do whatever they want? No, I'm sure Putin has his eyes on the Baltic states. He wants to get back any old Soviet republic, but putting a bunch of troops on the border first is not the way to deal with this. And all it is doing is getting all the military contractors are probably trying to ramp us into another Cold War because they'll make a lot of money from it. It's all about the money. Like this, you guys. Hit the subscribe button and put some comments out there. I'll do it again. I'll try to do it once a week if I can, of addressing your comments, and send me some articles if there's something you want me to talk about or cover. As long as it's not like, oh, I think the Earth is flat. There's no climate change. Yeah. You're nuts if you send me that.